Yo guys, what is up? Max on our first Descendant video, and today we're going to be going over my updated guide to Freyna. Now, Freyna is the first of a few Descendants that I really need to make updated guides for. Freyna is my favorite character in TFD, and there's a lot that's changed with her in terms of the amount of damage she can get from her components with new component sets, her Arche Tuning board, the new Mutant cells, some tricks that she can use with cores and more. So I'm going to be breaking down everything you guys need to know. Hope you enjoyed the video. But before we dive in, a quick word from our sponsor. So if you're looking to get a new PC, I strongly recommend checking out Zydax. I've been working them for many years. They are where I got both of the computers that I use for streaming and gaming. They make custom PCs and laptops. And if you don't trust me, they work with NASA, Gearbox, 2K, Mr. Beast, Intel, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Unbox Theory, Lucasfilms. They make incredible PCs. And what really sets them apart is Zydax has an industry-leading parts and labor warranty with an option for a lifetime warranty. So if you want your PC covered for its entire lifetime, you can get that at Zydax and feel very safe and comfortable about your purchase. Zydax is a very trusted company in the space. I've loved working with them over the years. And if you're looking to get a new PC, whether that's just because you haven't had a PC before, or you're looking for an upgrade because games are getting increasingly crazy, and you're needing a better and better PC to run them at the highest quality, check out Zydax and use code MOXIE at checkout for a discount. So to start, we're going to be using the Plague set on her. This set is incredible. It rolls with max HP in every single top socket, so you're not sacrificing any survivability to use this set, and it rolls with the 4-piece bonus to give us 43% toxic skill power, which is massive. It's the highest damage set that you can use on her, and it also comes with tech skill power, which is also incredible. It does lower your firearm critical hit rate and damage, but we don't really care about that. You don't really need to shoot guns on Freyna, and the one gun that we are going to be using on her for damage, which is the Malevolent, also is not a crit weapon, so the reduced firearm crit rate and crit damage just doesn't matter for her. So this is an awesome set. Now, the one thing to note is that this does give toxic skill power. If you aren't aware, TFD operates off of multiple damage buckets where you've got your skill power, which will get multiplied by both your specific skill power, aka toxic skill power, and your non-specific skill power, which is just skill power. And so one thing that's going to be really important to note is instead of using focus on toxic or toxic power in this build, because we're already getting a lot of our damage in that specific damage bucket from our components and also toxic amplification, which gives us a ton more toxic skill power, it's going to be really important to use power increase on all of her builds here. This is going to give us plus 65 toxic skill, or the non-specific skill power, even though this number is less than something like focus on toxic. This will actually lead to more damage because we're getting both of our damage bucket multipliers. The next thing that's new on Freyna since my last build video on her is the Arche Tuning board. Now, there's a lot of cool things that are happening with this Arche Tuning board, specifically on Freyna. We're going to be playing a non-crit version of Freyna, so we don't need to go up for skill critical hit rate and skill crit damage. We're going to be using non-crit, which allows us to go for a lot of skill power, skill range, a lot of cooldown, and we're going to be going up to the new Mutant cell. We're going to be putting in toxic cohesion. Now, there are quite a few Mutant cells that you could put in for this, and I wasn't sure which one was going to be the best for her. And so I put in all of her skill powers and all of the skill power modifiers, toxic skill power modifiers, into a calculator and calculated which one gives her the most amount of damage. And toxic cohesion is the winner. Showing on screen should be the math for comparing toxic cohesion, which gives specific toxic skill power, versus something I forget the name of it, but it gives non-specific normal skill power, or just skill power. And toxic cohesion, even though it is hitting a bucket of our damage formula that is pretty full, it gives a lot of it, and it was 0.2% more damage. So Toxic Cohesion is going to be what we're rocking. Now let's talk Void Erosion Purge. Now, the build for Void Erosion Purge is slightly changing from the normal mobbing build. The big change is that we're removing amplification control. If you feel like you need more range, you still can, but Void Erosion Purge is pretty contained. I found no issues spreading all of Freyna's dots without it. So I've been throwing on Spear and Shield for the extra defense and the skill power with Toxic Stimulation. Toxic Stimulation gives us more defense from our second ability, and that defense is a multiplier of our base defense. So Spear and Shield, or Iron Defense, whatever you want to use, I'm rocking Spear here, is going to give us more defense. So we get more defense, and then that's going to give us a more multiplier of the more defense that we're already getting. So it allows us to be a little bit more tanky. But the reason that we're going to be using Toxic Stimulation here is because if you're running Void Erosion Purge with people, all of them get this armor, all of them get the defense buff, and all of them, if any of the enemy or any of your friends get hit, can proc Toxic Dot on enemies, which is just even more spreading dots on everything, which is really, really nice. Now, Freyna does have a few options for Transcendent modules for Void Erosion Purge. The other good one being Venom Injection. Venom Injection is, however, pretty difficult to maintain. This is something that costs your HP per second, and if you don't have any more HP to drain, it drains your mana. And I messed around with this, going like a full shield build, and the amount of survivability that I had to spend on like mods using shield and getting like enough survivability to not just get one shot using this was giving me lower clear times than if I was just going full damage with HP without Venom Injection. So I think Venom Injection is really great for Void Erosion Purge as something that you can click and use sparingly when you need the damage buff. Let's say it's just elites left. You click this, you throw out some of your skills, get the buff from it, and I think that's pretty nice. However, it's tough to maintain. Now, you can rock like a full Venom Injection gun build, basically, where you use Venom Injection to strip resistances and then use like a toxic gun, such as like a Toxic Malevolent, and that's actually a pretty solid strategy as well. However, once again, I just don't really enjoy gun Freyna, so that's not how I wanted to build her. So I mainly rock the Toxic Stimulation mod, but you can use Venom Injection. Just note that you want to use it sparingly. Use it as a damage buff when there's some elites nearby and you need some extra damage. Just note it will drain your HP, so it's a little bit scary in a mode where if you die, you get penalized. So that's why I got Toxic Stimulation on and Spear and Shield for the extra survivability that it's going to give us. Next, we got our Giga Bossing build. This is basically if you want to take down a boss in a single use of her fourth ability, which does a ton of damage. Note that if you wanted to squeak out even more damage from this, you could spend more Catalyst and catalyze Maximize Skill instead of Tech Specialist, and Maximize Power instead of Power Increase. In terms of just saving Catalyst, I'm not using those right now. She still one phases every boss in the game, besides Ice Maiden. So, you know, not totally needed, but if you wanted to squeak more damage out of this, you'd use Maximize Skill and Maximize Power. The big things here is we are going to be using Venom Injection for the massive damage increase and the toxic strip that it gives us. And then we're going to be using as much damage as we can get, but because we don't need cooldowns, we don't need mana, we can actually spend some points on some survivability stuff. So we've got increased shield with overwhelming shield so that we don't get one-tapped by a boss. This gives us a bit of survivability. And then we're also going to make sure that we use skill extension so that we have enough time with our fourth ability to get out all of the bullets. And then we're going to be using Dangerous Ambush for the multiplier it gives us on bosses. Toxic Amplification, Tech Amplification, no-brainers, lots of damage there. And then the like little tiny damage boost of Venom Succinctium for the toxic skill power and Spear and Shield for the skill power is going to be the last two mods on this. Basically, you just pop your 2 and then pop your 4 and hold down the trigger and you should kill everything. And lastly, we've got the normal bossing build, which is basically the Giga Bossing build, but with more quality of life. The big thing is with the Giga Bossing build is you don't have cooldowns. So if you don't kill the boss in a fourth ability, you basically have to kill yourself. And if you are playing with teammates, they're probably not going to love that you're jumping off the map twice. And so this is the bossing build, but with cooldown. and some added survivability without really sacrificing much in the way of damage. We're picking up Overwhelming Shield, which is going to give us more shield, and we're picking up both cooldown mods, MP Conversion and Nimble Fingers for a bunch more cooldown, and not really losing much else in the way. Like, we're missing a few damage mods, but that's really it. But you get to use your 4th ability more often in boss fights, and also spam your other abilities more often. So it's a pretty good feeling bossing build, but it won't get you quite the same amount of like DPS on bosses. All right, now let's go over weapons on Freyna. The 2 weapons that I use on her right now are the Secret Garden and the Malevolent. My Malevolent is still technically set for chill attack for Void Erosion Purge, but this weapon does have a ton of base toxic, so you could basically just swap all the chill things for toxic and use this with her. The Secret Garden is an incredible weapon on Freyna. If you did not know, basically whenever you use your tech abilities, you proc Pest Control, which gives us more skill power and stacking firearm damage, which is awesome. My Secret Garden is set up specifically to be used with Freyna. So for example, like Sharp Precision Shot doesn't work on the Secret Garden. Like, this just doesn't work. It's technically hurting the damage of the Secret Garden, but I don't use the Secret Garden for damage. I've got some mods on it so that it can kill things if it needs to, but most of the time I'm just holding this as a stat stick for Freyna, and the stat stick mods that you're going to want are Sharp Precision Shot, Concentrate Support Ammo, Expand Weapon Charge, and Fire Rate Up. All of these will actually impact the 4th ability for Freyna. All of these other mods don't do anything else for the 4th ability. So you just need these 4 mods and you're good. And then I rock Sprint Speed Cores and Grappling Hook recharge times. With 1 Grappling Hook mod, you can get permanent uptime in the air with Freyna, which is pretty awesome. Sprint Speed helps as well. And then on the Malevolent, this is just my like weapon that I use on Serena, and for Void Erosion 30, we got a lot of mag size, we got a lot of chill damage, and a lot of like gun damage. Pretty basic build there with like chill firearm and fire attack mods. For the external component set, the best in slot set, as we talked about earlier, is the Plague set. This is going to give us a ton of toxic skill power. It is Freyna's best in slot set. And then for the Reactor, I have 2 reactors. The first is my like general Freyna thing, which I've got tactical rifle and hand cannons, so the Malevolent and Secret Garden mounted. And then we're using toxic skill power boost and tech skill power boost. This just gives her the most damage. Don't really need anything else. She doesn't need range. She doesn't really need cooldown. You can go cooldown if you want. I opted for the double damage. And then for Colossus fights, I am rocking this one with additional skill attack when attacking Colossuses and tech skill power boost ratio. Now, we kind of already went over Freyna's Arche Tuning board for mobbing. Looks like this. For bossing, small shift, we're going to be grabbing the like damage to Colossus over here. And then the like actual mutant cell slot is going to change. The one that I would recommend is called this, the Shield Enhanced Arche. That gives you 9.5% more damage when your max shield is full. This is going to be really nice because on the build we're already scaling up a bunch of shield for survivability, so it's just going to give her more skill power while her shield is full. Now, I do want to note that if you're going to fight something that's like highly resistant to toxic damage, you can go for the defense neutralization, which is going to give you even more toxic resistant shred and more defense down. And then you would just kind of put the board over here, but that is mainly for like fighting enemies that are, you know, very resistant to toxic. And if you're gonna do that, I'd recommend just playing a different character. But so that's kind of like her bossing board. For the inversion reinforcements, for the skill builds, I rock Adrenaline Rush with Probabilistic Recovery System and Arche Circulation Tactic. For her gun builds, I'm rocking mainly because I'm using the like Malevolent, Evolutionary Cutting, Biodensity Augmentation, and then Chill Focus rounds, because most of the time that I'm using the gun build for Serena or Freyna, I'm using it for Void Erosion 30, and so we're rocking chill rounds on that. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch y'all in the next one. Take care. Peace.